So, what was your question about Magen David?
How we can distinguish between the state of Israel as a nationality,
Yes, yes.
nationality, and Judaism, because you said like the Magen David is not a religious symbol, not a symbol for Judaism. It's more like for the state of Israel. And I thought about it, and then it came to my mind that it's called Magen David.
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 Yes. So he was the king of Israel,
yeah,
right?
And he's like, but isn't it also something to do with our story?
Yes, so it's an interesting question. So initially, when we read the written Torah, we see that the intention was that the Jewish nation would live in the land of Israel. So God promised Abraham, you will have this land if you follow these rules that I'm saying to you. This thing was realized at some point, not immediately. Yitzchak, Yaakov, they was living in the land of Canaan, and then they went to Mitzrayim, and then after Mitzrayim, Moshe left Egypt with Jewish nation, but Moshe did not enter in the land of Israel. Only Joshua entered, and they begin the war to conquer the land. It took a lot of time, and then we need to give to every tribe his own place, his own space. So it took a lot of time. And after things settled, so the Jewish was on Jewish land. I need to count how many time it took. So they built the first temple. So it's not the first king Shaul and not the second king David. They did not build the temple. Only the third king Shlomo built the temple. But after some time, the temple was destroyed. So Jewish nation gone to Babylon to exile. But then they returned to the land of Israel. So they built the second temple. But the second temple was also destroyed. Second temple is destroyed already. We're talking about Common Era, 70 year of Common Era, the first century of Common Era. So then Jewish nation was not living in the land of Israel like a nation for almost 2,000 years. So we can see this point as a separation point, that we have our Jewish religion that we practice where we live. Some live in East, some live in West, some live in Africa, Morocco, Taiwan, Yemen, some live in Europe, in Spain, in Italy. Jewish people live everywhere, so they don't have their own land where they are. So their identity was about the hope that someday the Mashiach will come and it would be some special time. It's also connected to Tchiyat HaMetim. We will learn about it. But mainly they will have their own land. So it was a dream. Yes. So the identity of Jewish nation was about the Torah. So we have religion. We have Shabbat. We have holidays. We have our special clothes, so like kippah, tzitzit, tefillin, things like that. So these symbols are connected to Jewish identity, and the land was like a theoretical thing and not practical thing. So we had it for almost 2,000 years. So we see the separation between the land of Israel and the Jewish identity, that the land of Israel doesn't form Jewish identity, at least in a big way. Of course, we have some mitzvot like Truma, Maaser. When we have harvest grain, we need to give to Kohen some percent of it, like Maaser is 10%. We need to give to Levi Maaser, and we need to give to Kohen Truma. Truma is very small amount, less than 10%. But when we live outside of Israel, we are not performing this mitzvot. We can read about them in books that was written in dead language, Hebrew language. People was not speaking Hebrew language. So also it was like dead mitzvot that people was not observing because they are not living in Israel. And also Shemitah was not observed. Every 7 years you cannot harvest grain on your field. So this law is only in the land of Israel. So Jewish nation was not living in the land of Israel, so they are not observing this law also. And many laws like this, and laws regarding the temple, we don't have the temple, so we don't have a service in temple, we don't have sacrifice. So big part of Judaism was like omitted from our practice and also from our identity. So our identity was built around to learn Torah, to understand Torah, to pray for Hashem, to pray, things like this. This was our religious practice, and this is what forms our identity. So this is important point to understand that our today's identity, classical Jewish identity is not that connected with the land of Israel. At least if you ask a Rabbi like me from the Orthodox community that is not connected, strong connection with the Zionist movement, because of course if you ask a Zionist Rabbi, it would be a little different accent, a little more the land of Israel. But in practice, we don't have the land of Israel from 1st century to 20th century, right? 19th century. С 1 века до 20 века у нас не было страны своей, правильно? Соответственно, когда мы говорим о еврейской идентичности, мы ее формируем в отсутствии в нашей практике страны Израиля, правильно?
Yeah, to learn how we can create a Jewish identity without a Jewish country. Yeah, because we have it just from half of 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an interesting question, yes, a lot of time, and a big part of it was a big all about the Torah.
Yeah.
Our Jewish identity. Yeah, this is the thing. Your thoughts? Yeah.
This is what I also wanted to mention. Israel is mentioned in the Torah so many times. So
in the written Torah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in the Gemara.
Less.
But also.
I'm saying that there are laws regarding the land of Israel, but there are laws that you need to observe anywhere. So if you can learn like Gemara, for example, Nezikin or Nashim, the laws regarding if you damage some other people property, so you need to pay for it. So it doesn't connect it to the land, right? Or if you marry a woman, or if you divorce, so it's also not connected to the land. So there are many laws that are not connecting, at least directly, to the land of Israel. You praying in the synagogue, so or not in the synagogue, so you praying anyway. You're in the land of Israel or not. In the prayer, you're saying yes, you're praying that you want to come back to Jerusalem to see again its glory, but it's like a dream that you're striving to, but you don't have it in practice, right? You're not touching it in practice. You just thinking that it would be good to have it again, to have our land. Yes.
Next year in Jerusalem.
Yes, that's what we're saying at the end of Agadah Shel Pesach. So next year, every time we're saying next year. So this year we are not, but we're hoping that next year we'll be in Jerusalem. And the next year we say it again. So it's interesting how it works.
When Herzl, for the first time traveled, and he only traveled once to Palestine. He took the way via Sofia in Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
There, people were waiting on the train station, waving and saying, "Next year in Jerusalem." It was not Pesach. They just saw him and they knew that he was going to Palestine to meet the German Caesar,
Mhm.
emperor,
Yes.
yeah, Wilhelm II, and they already were hoping to be there.
They were
Very
excited.
soon, yeah.
Excited. Mhm.
Mhm.
So, you wanted to say?
Some time ago, I saw pictures from a refugee fleeing Syria, and he said, "I want to go to Europe." My idea was, Europe is not a geographic place; it's an idea. And it can be everywhere.
It's interesting.
So he wants to live like being in Europe, but preferably at home. I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's interesting. Yeah.
So, like Israel is the way that we live, like the style of life, but it doesn't have to be exactly in the land of Israel. We can live Jewish life in any land, right?
Yes, I was in this context that I think I was thinking about the word moed today. I think yes, and it has a local sense and a temporal sense. So it's a place and
Mhm.
it's a time. You know what I mean? So the
And
It's
the-
time.
Ohel Moed, it was a place.
Ohel Moed, the word Moed.
To meet God or to meet
Mhm.
together. And
To meet at the specific time.
Yeah, it's a place and it's a time, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
The Moedim,
Moed, it's time, I think.
Like Ohel HaMoed, it's a place, no?
Yeah, Ohel, it means tent.
Yeah, but HaMoed.
Ohel Moed. So two words.
This concept. I'm understanding
I didn't thought about
what
it.
you mean.
Connecting time and space.
Yes, it's all the events and some moments can influence in some really important maybe moment in history. It's like about place and about time and God's hand like in this moment also. And we have something about
So we have this circle of time. So in specific time we're doing specific things. So it's also form us our identity, like the space where we are now.
yes, and it's really connected with connection with God. Yeah. Because it's like a time when we in connection and God wait our connection. Yes.
Yeah, because if God would be at this place all the time, so it would not be sacred. So it have to be moed. Sometimes God comes there, so it makes this place holy, sacred. I think this is the idea. So I wanted to.
It's a really not material topic. Yes, very
Ethereal.
yeah, very.
So I wanted to move to the second part. So it was like the whole part of the big part of Jewish history. So how was identity formed? Like in the way the people dress, for example. So a Jewish man, Jewish woman, they have specific types of dress, like peot, for example, or when a woman cover their hair, or like some specific jackets, because every country have its own Jewish special style of looking. Because sometimes when you see Jewish person walking, you can say that he is Jewish, and you can see it how he dresses and how he moves. Also, maybe the glasses, of course, things like this.
Oh, very often in Israel, it's like every second person in glasses. I don't know why, but it's like,
Because they read a lot.
yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure. It's really like in Yeshua, every boy glasses, something like it's like a rhetorical question, just interesting fact.
maybe you know why the Hasidim are dressing with this streamer?
Streimel, huh?
Yeah,
it's
and
very
also the
interesting topic.
socks.
Yeah, I think it's I read about it. It's a style to dress which goes back to a certain time in 17th century, I think, in Poland.
Mhm.
Well, it's an aristocratic
Aristocratic.
style
Yeah.
of dressing.
We are a town from this. We are like this. We are okay. Want to show this, that we are like, you know, very important.
Yeah, and they were
people from-
also some Jews were connected to the royal
Yeah.
Mhm.
and were serving the kings, and
Mhm.
therefore they were dressing.
It's like crown.
Yes, but at some point, all the community started to wear like and these clothes. That's what
And the
interesting.
socks.
Socks.
Socks. Why socks? Why high socks they wear?
Okay, but
As long socks.
I don't know the reason, but I think it's not
I know.
really like matter. It's
It's the form of
like
identity.
like style and fashion. But yeah,
Once I read that this Strehler originally was forced on them to make them look ridiculous.
by who?
By the
For example.
Nazis.
No,
Before.
It's not the stream, it's another head. It's a head like this.
Ah, diese Spitzenhut.
Yeah, it's
And
not
there
the
is,
stream is like
yeah,
this. And it's out of
it's a fox originally.
Sobol in Russian is called like some type of fox, not
yeah.
And then they
No, but
made
this is
it a proud
different.
accessory.
No, it's different. The religious said it's like that. It's a Spitzerhut.
yeah, and it's interesting also about a lot about the differences of the styles of Jewish ways. Yeah, because it's if it's like a Letavi Hasidim.
Мы еще не закончили с хасидами.
Yeah, it's about Hasid.
Так что ты сказал, ты не знаешь.
Что, в чем причина носков? Ну, может быть, ноги закрыты, что были. В храме мыли ноги сначала, а потом заходили. Ну, я не знаю, да, я не исследовала этот вопрос.
So,
В чем конкретно причина, что это носки? Я не знаю, стиль такой.
ну, не объяснение.
Не, не знаю.
Because we have a group of excursion today morning, and they also asked some woman saw in Wien like Jewish quarter. So there are a lot of people that were wearing this specific style. So she asked why it like this. So we were talking about the identity. So I think at some point people wanted to show, to hold to some tradition, to create some tradition. So there are this secular world and this there are Jewish world. So the question how they connected Jewish world and not Jewish world. I think it was about the time of Maskilim Haskalah. Maybe you heard about it. When it's about 300 years ago, around in Europe, a lot of education started and universities, and it was very prestige, important to go to university to learn. So, for example, if some Jewish boy was living in Jewish village, so his life was very ordinary. And sometimes people from village, they are dreaming to go to the city, to become important, to make some career.
American dream.
European dream. So there was this university. So you go to university and then you became the part of this world, smart world with a lot of people that are learning. So it was very appealing to young people, and they were going. But there is this, some problem about it, because when people go to the outside world from their Jewish village, they stop in being Jewish, right? So they becoming like everyone else, assimilation.
Yeah.
So it was very big question how to prevent this assimilation or how to stop it. And one of the forms that try to stop it is about the clothes. So if, like you say, to look ridiculous, right? So when you go into the when person from village comes to a city, he already looked ridiculous, right? Because there are style how people look wearing in the city, and there is different style how people are wearing in the village. So this village clothes, it was very important to stick to these clothes because you should look in the city like you don't belong here. Because if you look like everyone else, you can forget that you are Jewish from Jewish village and start their normal life like every people not connected to Judaism, assimilation. Yes. So this is the reason that in some communities they are still wearing these special suits, special hats, special socks. So they are keeping the tradition of their fathers and keeping the Jewish identity in this way. So this is the reason. Yes.
Yeah.
Because if I would dress like a German and go to German place, so I can forget that I am not German. Yes. This is very important topic.
Yeah, it's maybe also an expression of a kind of nostalgia towards
What?
Yes, this is the secondary.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. So,
Nostalgia is very strong.
so often people who, many years ago I read something about Banatschwam or something like that.
Banatschwa?
So Germans living somewhere in, I don't know where, in the eastern, and they kept traditions that are long forgotten in Germany. But they are keeping the traditions, very old traditions, and they never changed. And
Yes.
For
Orthodox traditions.
It's kind of, yeah, it's strange to see this kind of costumes and
like we see at Berg Festival.
No.
Different.
Maybe it's comparable. I'm not sure. So because it sounds maybe paradox, but maybe they feel like in the diaspora in Israel because they're coming from Poland. So maybe they are. It's comparable to the other. So that. Yeah, it's.
So Jewish came from one country to another country, and they came with this clothes and sticking to this clothes.
Yeah, and the tradition is forgotten and lost in the original country where it comes from.
Yes,
they
yes.
are conserving this tradition, and so even for Polish people, I think it's very strange to see this because it dates from long ago.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting idea. Yes. Yeah. But it became the symbol of Judaism, right? Like the Streimel.
Yeah.
So it's the symbol. If you see someone in Streimel, it means that he is Jewish. Yeah. So this is the symbol of Judaism.
You see, he's Jewish, he's Hasidic.
And
he identifies with some origins also.
Yes.
By wearing this.
So there are people that understand in it. So on the type of Streimel, they could say which type of Hasid this person is and who is his rabbi, things like this. Okay. Yeah. You wanted to say something?
Maybe it brings us too far away from this topic. So.
Yes. So we are coming back.
But we are still on. We are already on record, right?
Yes, we are now. You want to say something to the viewers? So about the land of Israel. So at the 20th century, we have now the land of Israel. So it became this movement of Zionism. So now the Jewish land is real. So you can go to this land, you can live there. So it became the part of Jewish identity, right? So I am Jewish, so I have my land where I could live if I would like to, but also I could live in other countries. But even if I'm living in the other countries, I still have my land. So it's not theoretical like it was before, but it's closer to practice. Like I can buy a ticket and tomorrow I can get a flight to Israel, and now I'm in my own land. So this understanding that I have the land where I belong, it's a very uniting idea, the idea that unites a Jewish nation. So it's very important for the identity, sure. So if people associated themselves with some special land, so this unites them. For example, if I could meet some other Jewish person in Germany, so we can discuss. For example, I have relatives in this city in Israel, and he have relatives in this city. So the very common question is when it was the last time he was in Israel. So how things going in Israel. So it's very uniting, right? So this symbol, Magen David, we can see it on the flag of Israel. So this idea that we have the land is the uniting idea for Jewish identity. So when someone wears this Magen David, so he feels connection to this land. And so we have like the community of people that wears this Magen David. So this unites this community, right? This is how it works. So it is a Jewish symbol, but I mean, if we learn this topic deep, so we can see some questions in it. We was discussing in it already. I don't remember with who exactly was, but first on second stage session, because how the land of Israel connected to Judaism, to say it correctly, the state of Israel, because if we would talk to Orthodox people which are not Zionist, they have a lot of like questions towards the state of Israel, because the law of the state of Israel is not the law of Torah. So it's questionable whether our dream to have our land is realized, or it was like a try and it was not. It's like it was not successful try. So there are different communities within Judaism, and they see this question in a different opinions.
But for all these communities, this idea about a conquer is very important. Then
yes, for sure. So in practice, of course, everyone could live except very radical people that insist not to go there. But even those who live there, they are explaining. So we live here because the Jewish infrastructure is very good here. There is a lot of synagogues, a lot of schools, things like this. But in terms of the land, the dreamland, so some people are kind of upset because it's not the land that they were dreaming about. Sometimes when people decide that they want to achieve something, and then when they achieve this, they could feel upset because when they have the plan, it was like the perfect plan. And when the plan is realized, so people see that it's not perfect, so people could be disappointed. It's like very normal thing to be disappointed at this point, I guess.
There are also some people who believe that have right to live in Israel already now because Mashiach isn't here.
They,
They
once again?
think when Mashiach comes,
Mhm.
then we should live in Israel, not now.
Yes, so it's also so if we talk to Zionist rabbis or Zionist communities, they can see that the fact that Jewish living in Israel now, it's like the beginning of Mashiach era. So this is the perception of Zionist movement. So they very happy that we could live in this land. So they were dreaming about it day and night, and they love this land. And it's very big power within the Jewish nation because they connect in the theory and practice, and it's the main part of people, I guess, that serve in the army of Israel. So they are dying for us, basically. So they are very contributing very much towards their dreams. So this is the land of their dream, and they are ready to die for it. So it's very big power, right? If you're talking about Zionist communities, but it's not the whole Judaism, because we have also not religious Jewish, and we have also Hasidic and Orthodox, which is not sharing this Zionist idea. So it's different opinions here.
Interesting point
Mhm.
also about all the people who lived and work and learn in Israel. It's
Mhm.
it's not it's not depends on the race of Judaism. It's like for them there's Orthodox or not or something like this. Just a fact that all of these people are Jewish nation in
Mhm.
this country, it's a power. When,
Yes.
when they are together and if they can be in normal connection.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Plus, minus, not for sure how people can be in like peace, but really normal stability
Mhm.
in very, very big power. What we can,
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, it is the symbol that unites people because the part of Jewish identity is the Jewish land, the land of Israel. But I just wanted to point out that it's not the whole Jewish identity; it's only the part of it. This is all what I wanted to say.
Yes.
What I think is very interesting in Israel is that there are so many, like what you said, like Jews from different countries,
Mhm.
and all of them they have their special identity and
Yes.
special traditions and so on. So we cannot say speak only about the Jewish identity in the whole.
Yes. So it raises difficult questions because for all of the sudden Ashkenazim and Sfaradim are now together. So they need to decide we're doing like this or we're doing like this. So it's a lot of questions.
And also, it's very also the different from different countries, and it's not just about different countries, and just not just about Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. It's like a Sfaradim from America, Ashkenazim from
Yes.
It's like a mix. And from
Big mix.
now I think about this. It's like a first time about a lot of people in Israel having like a Jewish identity from America, a lot of from Russia. It's like
Yes, there are American Jews and there is Russian Jews. So it's different Jews, right?
Because
It's not the same.
I think
Yes,
the core piece of
Russia is
identity
like
is having a lot of questions.
Роза, это как ты говорила?
USSR.
USSR.
Yeah. Because it's
Yes.
big, because
Lot of
it
questions.
was a lot of place. Yes, and in Israel it's like a lot of people with Russian identity from America also, and from a lot of
And also the different streams, like Orthodox, then conservative, then liberal,
It's
Hasidic.
Hasidim, Tesla.
Say what is Jewish identity.
So we will learn it today.
My
Just
cousin
the
is
introduction.
the Breslan.
Mhm.
That's why we learn Rambam. So Rambam is very classic, and everyone agrees with him today. When he was living after his books, so it was reaction. Some was not agree with him, but today it's considered classic. So that's why we're learning it. So we will start about 13 principles of faith. We will repeat here shortly why these principles are important. So when a person believes in these principles and he is sure about his faith in God, he enters Israel, the term Jewish, mitzvah le'ahavos, and there is a commandment to love this person, u'lerachem alav, and to show him mercy, to be merciful with him, and to perform all the commandments that God said that we need to perform to the other Jewish person, which includes brotherhood and love. And even this person that believes God, very strong belief, but he did different averot, things that are forbidden, because he have very strong, I don't know, maybe he was very hungry and it was very tasty food. How it's called? Schnitzel? No.
Pig.
Bacon in English? Yes. Schinken. Oh, schinken. So he very likes the smell of this. So he ate it because of it, because he feels very strong appetite towards it. So his like animal instinct was prevailed within him, and he eat it. So the person is have his own punishment based on his sins, but he have this part in olam haba. Olam haba is a specific term, means the next world. So this person is considered sinner, a Jewish sinner. We can call him like this. So olam haba is like the spiritual world for the soul. So now we have the body and we have the soul. So they are connected somehow. It's very big topics. But in the world to come, there would be only souls. So in this world, we want to be closer to God, but we cannot be too close to God because we are physical. We have our bodies, and God is metaphysical. He doesn't have a body. He is a spiritual being. So it's hard to connect, strong connection with something spiritual when you are a body that would be dead within some years. So this is the philosophy of Rambam. So after the body died, so the spirit is free, or you could say the mind, and then you could contact the God in more closer way, something like this. And on the other hand, if the person doesn't believe in these 13 principles, so he is not considered Jewish. So he is thinking that God is not exist. So there are many terms that we could call this person. So he's not considered Jewish, and we don't have to love him. We don't have to help him. We could, but it's not our obligation. So it's the question of identity within the society. So there is a Jewish society, so we believe special things that we learn now. So if someone doesn't share our values, so he's not the part of our society. It's very logical definition, I think. So we started to learn it. So the first thing is so we need to consider, to know, to believe that the God exists. So we're talking about religion. God gives us commandments, so there is God. It's the first. So what is exactly God? It's hard to explain. So he's saying that it's something or someone that it's flawless, doesn't have any flaw. It's idealistic. And this thing or this who is the reason of all that existing. So the whole universe is existing because of God. And where we read it in the Torah, it said, Anochi Hashem Elohecha. In the beginning of the Ten Commandments, it said, I am Hashem, your God. So we see that God exists. We know it from Torah. This is our first belief. And the second belief is about God, in which God we believe in. So it said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Eloheinu, Hashem Echad. We have only one God. So it's pretty much understandable because we're talking about monotheism. We don't have, like in pagan culture, a lot of gods, right? We have only one God. But the question is what it means we have one God. So Rambam goes to very philosophical direction. What is one? We learned it already, right? Yes, I'm just repeating.
Elohim?
Yes?
Elohim, Adonai, isn't that many?
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Yes. So Adonai, you're talking about the names of God. We have Yud Hei Vav Hei. So it's the name of our God. Yes. So the Bible was written within the context of pagan culture. So there was a lot of gods. So we have the name of our God. So we are saying that this God is our God, Hashem Echad, only Him. So of course, if we read the Bible, the Torah, the written Torah, we can see that there are a lot of gods that existing, right? Torah called them Elohim Acherim, so the other gods. So and especially in the book of Dvarim, we see a lot of laws concerning that we should not have an idol, we should not serve idolatry, and a lot of things like this. We should not create an idol. So we have only one God, and this is our God, Hashem, Eloheinu, our God. So Hashem Echad, only Him. But this word Echad, Rambam understands it in very deep way. It doesn't mean only that we have one God and not two gods, but the God that we believe in, He is Echad. He is one or united. It's a difficult term in philosophy. Echad be'achdut she'en kemota achdut. So we were explaining it on this glass. So we could, it's the lesson in philosophy now. We could say that this is one glass, right? Or how you say it in German, eine. So eine means one, right? So it's one. But if you see this, it have like this part and this part. So it consists several parts. And also there is a painting here. And if you see at the bottom, it's written something here. So you can see a lot of parts in this glass. So it's not really one glass. It's a glass that's made of several parts, right? But when we're saying that we have one God, we doesn't say that it's one that it's built from several parts. No, because it means that he has some flaws. So we can take him apart to break, and then there is no God, right? So when we say Hashem Echad, we have one God. It means that He is one, and we cannot see any parts. So like a monolith. So it's hard to imagine what is it exactly. But this is the idea of Hashem Echad. So we have one God. It means that He is united, one like monolith. He doesn't have any parts that we could say, and this is connected to the third belief from the 13 is about the body. Does God have body? very strange question nowadays, because we used to it that God is something ethereal, metaphysic, right? But on the other hand, when we read the written Torah, we could see a lot of expressions that talks about God like he have a body. So every time God talks, for example, so if someone is talks, so maybe there should be a mouse, right? So if there is a mouse, so this should be a body, that mouse is the part of this body, right? So it's like logical.
God hand, God back, God.
Yes, and for example, Parashat Kitisa, when Moses wanted to see the God, so God explained to Moses, "You cannot see me from the front, so I will walk, and then you can see me from the back." So this is the story in the book of Shmot, for example. Yes, so there is front and there is back, because like the glory of God is so strong that if you look at him directly, it could blind you, yes? But if you can see from behind, if you at the level of Moshe, you could see it and understand something big, right? This is the idea. Yes, please. A question?
No, you said what I wanted to say. Ты уже сказал, что хотел сказать.
Да.
Вот, и что вот эта сила, мы можем, we can learn it from moment when the Jewish people take Torah from the Torah in Sinai. And it was absolutely total historical moment. A lot of people just died because they can't.
So people were very afraid.
It's like afraid, like it's about body of person can't live with this really strong power.
Yes, we see this understanding in the Torah that if person sees God, he dies immediately. This is was.
We can't imagine this power.
По-русски слово. Axiom. It's an axiom that if person sees God, he dies immediately, because I don't know why, it just people thought like this.
Yeah, we can just talk about it. Like a strong light, very strong energy.
So
we can talk
in
about
the book of
energy, it's like
very strong energy, like atom factory.
Yes, I think it's
nuclear power today.
Yeah, it's something like energy. It's very.
I don't remember who said it in the book of Bereshit, maybe Yaakov, that he saw God face to face and he was saved. So it was very impressive to him. Maybe when he was struggling with this angel.
Yes, it's Yaakov. It's very interesting. So much. I really like.
Yeah, you wanted to ask something?
He was like Israel and Yaakov, and this fighting with the angel. And with
very interesting story.
I love that.
In the beginning, Yaakov was not such a good brother.
Yeah, it's a big story.
Yeah,
it's not our topic today.
That's so nice.
It's really interesting.
He was envy.
Yeah. He was.
Завидовал, как сказать, envy.
Gierig. How you say gierig?
Yeah, because his brother was the first, so he also wanted to be the first. So how to organize it? Yes, okay, it's very big story.
But it's not like help.
Yes, his mother said to him that you should take the blessing of your brother. If we read the Bible, it was the idea of her mother. But it was about the blessing. But before this, the firsthood, Bechorah, how you say? So it was his idea, not his mother, right? When Esau coming tired, so Yaakov saying you should sell, but it was legal, I think. Yes.
It's interesting, really interesting.
It's a big story, not our topic. Human factor?
Yeah, human factor, like about human being, moments about character, like yeah, he can.
Yeah, the
it's not our
the most interesting is at the end. So when he meeting with Esav, so we need to understand. So Esav saying to Yaakov, we should go together, and then Yaakov saying that he doesn't want to go together with Esav. So how we should see it? It's a good thing or it's a bad thing? It's a very big topic to learn.
I also what I like in the story of Jacob is that he got the point that he behaved wrong, and
How you see it?
He wanted to change, and he grew.
That he wanted to meet with Esav. It
Yes,
means that he wanted to change.
But he was shy. He was afraid, right?
Yes, he was very afraid.
I don't think that he wanted to change his personality. He just wanted not to be punished by his brother, so he brought a lot.
Yes, because he was afraid that his brother would kill him, so he needs to give him a lot of matanot.
And also it's about relationships, yes.
But
because he was not clever. It's not about clever, about good.
I'm saying that maybe Yaakov was wrong at the start, but the most important that we need to understand at the end, what is his position. Yeah, because some people say that he stole the blessing from his brother.
He stole it. So he bought it.
Yes, so you're saying after he bought it, he could have the blessing from his father, so it's legal.
Yeah, and he just obeyed his mother.
Yeah, but I think I think it's about the Yaakov. It's about to be brave with your mission, because it really was his mission.
What was his mission?
To be like a first, because it's not first. It's about to take this
blessing.
Yes, it was his mission.
But how he knows it?
Yes. Mother, son,
how you see it?
How you know that it's your mission to be a winner? It's it's also about you, I think. Everyone. It's something.
But you need to show me in the Torah that it's written that it's Yaakov, it's mission of Yaakov to be the first. So
no, first it's
you see maybe you see that he's the holding the leg.
So he wanted the blessing, and he did everything in his power to receive it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was success. The story of success.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the feelings of Asaf. Yeah, it was. It's really.
He was upset.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the big start of a lot of fighting the next time, because we know, yes, like this Asaf, it's the nation when someone we can see it historical who also fight with Jewish people. I really believe in this.
Asaf who Edom.
Yeah, and it's because relationships. It's not like without reason.
Yeah.
It's really what you said. It's true. It's true feelings, but I think
his fate was not easy as well. So he had to work for his father-in-law very long time, and he was deceived. And
yes, this is a good point.
Longer and longer.
So the way if you read the Bible, the Torah after it, you see that Yaakov have a lot of problems after this story. So we could suggest that he was wrong, that he didn't walk with his brother together, maybe. So it's like they wanted to unite, right, to make peace, and Esav saying, so we should walk together, but Yaakov didn't walk with Esav. So we could see it as a mistake, because after it we could see that Yaakov suffers a lot. So he wanted to marry with one girl, and then he got another girl. So it's like punishment for him, like he's shown that he is Esav, but he is Yaakov. and also after it, several episodes.
Oh, thank you. You said it's about not just this moment of like starting of life, all the life of Yaakov was very hard.
Yeah, and the story of Joseph, that his son was missing for many years,
Wow.
and he thought that he is dead. And at the end, in the very end, when he's talking to Pharaoh, so Pharaoh saying, "How do you live? We get there." So Yaakov saying, "Me'at v'raim hayu yemei shnei chayam." So the years of my life are very short and very bad. So he complaining.
A lot of pain.
Yes.
Yeah, but how we are Israel?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's because Yaakov did a lot of things there. Yeah, and it's some years ago.
We Bnei Israel because Abraham have Yitzchak and Ishmael, and Yitzchak have Yaakov and Esav. So we are not from Abraham because Abraham has two different nations, and Yitzchak also have two nations. So we are not Bnei Yitzchak, but we Bnei Israel because all the children of Yaakov are a Jewish nation. That's why we call Bnei Israel, I think. Yes.
Yeah, and Israel is like really our it's 12
Tribes.
Yes, from Yaakov.
Yes.
And it's really important guy.
Guy.
Sure. Oh, it's what I want to add about this. Some years ago, I was really focused in this story because I can't understand why it was really hard to, this story was very hard. And also about Yitzchak and about story with Ishmael.
Yes. So you can. Это вот книга про это пишут.
Да.
This is the book Not in the Name of God or something like this by Rabbi Sachs. So he discussed in these stories.
I had one course from very great.
I'll show it. We have it in Russian.
He did this course, and I heard and asked a lot of questions. I was really in this topic, and it's about all this what we now can see in Israel with. My it's hard to, yeah, and it's from this story. It's like he bought this, yeah, from this story with Ishmael because it was a relationship with parents, and parents feel it. The children feel it from parents, and it's really. Oh, я не знала, что это про это.
Да.
Oh, я тогда, наверное, читать.
Пожалуйста.
What I want to add. It's not.
It's initially it was in English. You can find it. It's
very good.
Oh, really? It's like one of the most like greatest. Yeah, in Russian. This book in Russian. Yeah, but for sure.
Not in God's name, confronting religious violence. This is the book.
For me, or the last thing I want to say to Yaakov is that for me is this that he saw that he made this mistake. For me, is that the only positive thing you can get out of it, that he betrayed his brother and father. Because everyone is making mistakes, and we can learn from it, and we can improve from it, and to become better. Like we always have to work on ourselves, isn't it, like that?
So
this is what I thought I can learn from this story.
So where we see that he improved? This is the question. Did he improve? Yaakov.
Yes.
Where you see it?
When he was brave enough to go back home, and to apologize, because this.
Did he apologize?
And I don't think that he improved, and I even don't
That's the
think
point.
that he made a mistake. So it's not written that what he did is wrong, was wrong.
Yeah, this is also a question, because Torah doesn't say directly that he sinned.
I think it was God's plan. Like that.
And you know, father knows maybe also that it was he, you know.
He did not come back. I read that he came back and apologized, and the father was like very old.
Apologize?
No,
I didn't hear that. Where it's written in the Torah or is it in the commentary? I don't know.
maybe some comments, but I don't
No, we can see this meeting with Esav and Yaakov like an apology, but he didn't say it, I'm apology.
I think it's
He just brings a lot of
a little consider
presence.
to understand this. If we think that if we can look at this story, Esau really was in. We read about his like deals, profession. We see it was like a way. What Yaakov way and Esau way, and it's like no, it need to be like this something, but it's easy to say it because I know all the stories, and this one it was like really he said take this.
Yeah, the story with Dina. It was also after it. That's I remember it now.
Really. Yes, it's a good question, but yeah.
But it's not our topic.
Maybe we will do also some homage class, some
Maybe.
different.
So we're just talking about the dad.
Yeah.
Does God have the body, or he doesn't? So first, the God exists, and second, that God is Echad, He's one, and the third, that He is not physical. This is what Rambam saying. So we just was discussing about these quotes from Torah. So Rambam also discussing it. And everything that we see in the Holy Scripture that describes God like having a body. For example, halicha, walking, amidah, standing, yeshiva, sitting, dibur, talking, and similar things. Hakol derech hash'ala. So it's all a metaphor. It doesn't mean that God really sits, for example. It means that he, I don't know, person feels a connection to God. I'm just improvising. And like God comes, maybe it's like paying attention, I don't know. So Rambam insists when Torah describes the Sinai revelation, it says, you didn't see any image, any picture of God. So therefore you cannot make idols. It's forbidden, right? So it said you didn't saw any image. So the question is, does God have image, and you didn't see it, or it doesn't have image? So we can understand it in two ways, but Rambam insists here, lo isaktem oto ba'al tmuna. So Rambam sees a Sinai revelation is like the connection with God. So the whole nation have connection to God, the whole nation have connection to God, and they didn't saw any image. Why they didn't saw him with image? Because he doesn't have any image, because he doesn't a body that you could picture. Yes.
For mathematicians, it's no problem. They
Why?
are talking about things that exist, but you can't see them. You can't take them in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
The number 3. Can you see number 3? Can you grab it?
So it's a
Three
concept.
exists.
It's not a physical thing. It's a concept. It's an idea. Yeah, that's
it's very
interesting
real.
point.
What? It's real? So the number 3 is not, it's just an idea, but
No, it's real.
3 cups, it's real. It's the instantiation of the idea here.
So it's a realization in practice of this idea.
Mathematicians, it is real.
Mathematicians. It's very famous struggle between mathematicians and physicians.
It's a theory. It's also a concept. It's a theory.
Yes, it's a theory.
Yeah.
So theoretically, no. So there is a concept, and sometimes this concept is realized, and sometimes it's not. Yes. So sometimes it exists in reality, and sometimes it's just a theory that doesn't exist in reality. So it's the idea of Plato, that there is a world of ideas and this physical world. So the physical things are just like a projection of ideas. So there is an idea of 3 that exists in some spiritual world, and in our physical world we could have this idea realized in practice, but realization of the idea is not this beautiful as the idea itself.
Because the idea is perfect.
Yes, the idea is perfect, and this material world is not perfect. So this is like Rambam describing the God. It's something perfect that doesn't have any flaws.
Can you find
Yes.
Yeah.
Mathematics have in their mind this perfect circle, but it doesn't exist in real life. So this is the struggle between physics and mathematics. So people that study physics, they think that mathematics, they're talking about nonsense that doesn't exist. I'm just making it sharp.
Sciences, yes.
So this is how Rambam describes God, that he doesn't have a body. So what is interesting here? So we read the written Torah, we see that God have body, and then Rambam comes and telling us that what is written in written Torah, it's only a metaphor, but in real, God doesn't have the body. So we have some contradiction here, and who we need to believe. Do we need to believe the written Torah, or do we need to believe Rambam? And also, why Rambam deciding that what's written in the Torah is a metaphor? And how could we decide what's written in the Torah is metaphor, or we should understand it directly in a normal way? So it's a very big question. For example, after Rambam, there was another rabbi called Ra'avad, Rabbi Avraham ben David, and he wrote some commentary on Rambam, and he wrote Ra'avad, Rabbi Avraham ben David, Ra'avad, and the Rambam is Rabbi Moshe ben Rambam, ben Maimon. So Ra'avad, he writes only in places when he disagrees with Rambam. It's not like a commentary, it's called Hasagot. Yeah. So Rambam writes in his book Mishneh Torah, the list of persons that doesn't have Helek in Olam Haba, doesn't have parts in the world to come. And the Rambam says the person that believes that God have body, so he doesn't have his part in Olam Haba. And Ra'avad, he doesn't agree with Rambam because Ra'avad says that there were a lot of rabbis, even better and wiser than the Rambam, and they thought that God have body. So it's hard to say that someone that believes that God have body, he is not Jewish, because it's written in the Torah, and a lot of rabbis thinking like this because it's written in the Torah, and then Rambam saying that God doesn't have body. So Ra'avad agrees with this idea that God doesn't have body, but to say that someone that believes that God have body is not Jewish is too much. Yes. And where Rambam learned it?
If you say he has a body, in fact, you make a picture in your mind,
Yes.
and pictures are forbidden.
My idea. I had this idea as well.
What's the idea?
A metaphor is a picture and as well. Yeah.
You shouldn't make pictures.
Yes, it's forbidden to make idols. Yes.
But if you say he has a head and limbs.
So I'm thinking about the God like it have the body.
Make a picture in your head.
So you asking, is it forbidden to make a picture in my head, or it's permitted? This is the question.
We are people, and we can understand some points just with our
Imagination.
human brain.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sure, for sure, it's like one of the answer. Because if we can have this projection, like feelings, God feel, he said it with this voice, like we can understand it.
I think it's just how the language works.
Also language.
I don't know how could I. For example, in Russian, we say about the man that it's angry. Oh, you could say he's burning, for example. Yes. Mm-hmm. So if someone is angry, you can see he is burning with anger, right? So this is the expression. So it doesn't mean that he is burning, right? So it means that he is very angry. So this is the way when we're talking about God. We're talking that God came. We don't want to say that God have body or legs. We are saying that people had connection with God in some way. So we are saying God came to these people, right? So this is how the language works, and it's hard to work with the language in the other way because it's how it works.
He does not come. He's everywhere. But you can feel his presence or you don't.
It's also...
if you feel the presence or building up, it feels like it's coming.
You said that he's everywhere. I'm not sure that it's correct on the Rambam, because if it's not a physical object, it could not hold space, right? So I'm not sure that it's correct to say that he's everywhere, right? It's philosophical.
Now, like this light and our everything is from God.
Olam, world.
It is not just the space, but also
the king of the world.
Time. Space and time.
I don't know. You can add time. Oh, okay. What do you want to say? So what is your question exactly?
That God is without space and without time. So he's not limited to space and time.
Yes, he's not limited in space. So it's not correct to say that he is everywhere, because he is not existing within the space, right?
Maybe it's about
he's beyond space.
Yes.
The God is the creator of everything, yes. And if we can look at this way, if God creator of everything, he's like a part of everything what we can see.
So everything is a part of God. We can say it metaphorically.
Yes, yes.
It's just, it's a beautiful idea, but it's not exactly.
It's something more difficult what you explain.
Yeah, so what you wanted to say? I'm just saying that the part of you saying is not correct. So what was your idea? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
You said God doesn't have parts. Then you can.
He said.
Then do you say everything is part of God?
This poet said.
Yeah, I'm very more
emotional.
Yeah, and about more metaphor and I think it's not just my thought, but I'm our rabbiner more in fact, and then and me also from some clever people, but they're more emotional. And
it's a metaphor.
I think at Rambam's time, The philosophy of Aristotle was discussed a lot.
Yes, for sure.
In Andalus, where he was living. So the Muslims and the Jews were inspiring each other, and the Aristotle philosophy was very
Developed.
Yes, it was.
But within this Islam world, there was also schools, philosophical schools that was understanding God in a different way. So they were discussing. So Rambam, he agrees with some and disagrees with other groups. So it's a big topic.
I think the idea of the one and undivisible God it's an Aristotle concept.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So this is very important for the question of identity. So Rambam, for some reason, he prefers the understanding of God that he have from Greek philosopher above what is written in the written Torah. So it's very paradox or phenomenon. It's very interesting how it works.
And he tries to combine philosophy and religion.
Yes. This is what was his work.
We love.
And someone doesn't love. That's very interesting.
So the consequence of God not changing and being one is that he doesn't react to prayer.
Yes.
So because if he would react,
so we would learn it after.
He would change himself.
So this is very problematic. This process of prayer, how we understand, if we understand God like Ram, it's a very big question.
The prayer is for the person.
Yes, so this is the classic answer.
So
like Shabbat is for the men who observe Shabbat.
I understand about the prayer. How is Shabbat connected to it? So you're saying that the prayer is for the person. This is how Rambam understand it, that God doesn't need our prayers, but we need our prayers. So when we pray, we're showing that we depend on God, and this understanding that we depend on God, this gives us zchut. So it's a good thing, and identity. And this identity could lead us to good results.
I think I heard somewhere about this picture. So there's a God, he doesn't change, he doesn't interact with human beings. So
he is interacting, we will learn about it later.
The Aristotle God.
Yes. Aristotle God, he is very distracted from the world, and he doesn't have any interest in this world.
And the sense of prayer in this case is that
we need to bring his attention.
You don't want to change God or his will, or you don't want him to act somehow in your life, but you want to bring yourself nearer to God. So it's another direction. So the prayer makes the person
closer.
It comes closer to God and to his will, which is fixed already.
Mm-hmm.
It does not change. So the prayer does not change God's intentions or will or somehow.
That's interesting explanation.
It changes the person, because the person is getting closer to God and to his
That's interesting.
plans and to his will.
It sounds like a Kabbalistic maybe explanation. Kabbalistic style.
And why we have a need? We have a need because God can give for us, and if we need something, we can ask. Yes, and it's a way of, if we want a good life, relationships, understanding, just breathe, and everything what we need. It's like a stochnik.
Source.
So we can. It's the main source, and it's why we need to be closer. What do you say? Yeah, because we have the needs, and we have a big one. Yeah, and we can.
So and like this, prayer is changing us. So
Yeah, so it's similar.
bringing us nearer.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So in
Maria understands.
Yeah, but it's not the explanation of Rambam. It's different, but it's interesting.
it's more Aristotle.
Yeah, and it's very good to have a lot of.
Because based on Rambam, what brings us closer is understanding.
And it's also a Muslim concept.
Muslim?
So yes,
Interesting.
I was talking to someone and the person explained me the relation to God like this.
Mhm.
It's this Aristotle concept which is very spread in Islam. I think.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
It was initially, I don't know what philosophy they have now.
No, yeah.
Mhm.
Original.
In the times of
thing
Rambam.
in the times of in the Middle Ages.
So it's very interesting for me this thing because this is the question where we are taking from where we are taking our identity, because Rambam first he was convinced with the philosophy of Aristo, and then he was reading the Torah, so he understanding the Torah based on his worldview. So because in the religion we could see this attitude that the religion kind of forms our worldview, but we can see from this example that it works the other way around. So there is our worldview, and then we study religion, study Torah, and we understand it based on our worldview, and it's legitimate, right? It's not because every person have his own worldview, so every person understands Torah in his own way.
Yeah, and also Rambam.
And also Rambam.
And Rambam lived in this world. There was a view with Aristotelical view, yes, and this world view with.
But it was not the connected to Judaism. It was something disconnected from Judaism.
And I think that at this time it was philosophy was like very very
Developed.
deep and
Sure.
not like now yet, and it was
It's a whole different story. Yes.
more influence and it's a reason why I think Rambam take this view and being this connecting, because it's like a big thinker, the philosopher Aristotle and.
Rambam was convinced in this philosophy. He thought that it's right and correct, so he was convinced in it. And when he reads Torah, so he explained it based on his worldview. That's what I'm saying, yes? Because this is the question of identity. So I was talking about religion. So what is the first and what is the second? Because people think that if they observe or practice some form of religion, it would affect their identity or change their identity or form their identity in a specific way. It's correct on some extent, I think, but mainly it's initially it was working the other way around. Yes, so we have our identity, and based on our identity we act in specific way. For example, we perform some things which are mitzvot, which are commandments, and in this way we show in our identity. So first there is an identity, right? And second, there is a religion that reflects our identity, right? It should work like this, I think. Because if we go in another direction, so there is first the religion, and I hope that it would form our identity. It means that we doesn't understand this religion and we feel disconnected from it, right? We hope that we would connect to this religion after practicing it, but it may not happen anyway at the end.
it depends if it's about ritual or
Mm.
not. Because if it can be really like it's your like mindset.
Mindset.
Yeah, if
You're thinking about it.
But I understand for sure because it's I think if it's correct that the first that be a person, human
Oh.
be with and it's really important to be a good man like and it's like.
And you want to express yourself within this religion or that religion or those religions.
Yeah, but it's a little bit controversial.
What is controversial?
Ну, если это человек, он родился, прям полностью все видит от своей семьи, нет другого как бы майндсета вообще, в принципе.
So this is the problem that might happen if the person was born and raised in within the religious, so he might not think. So you're saying that religious is forming his identity. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting.
And I think it's absolutely okay.
So it's identical, the religion and the identity. It's two things that come together.
It depends. It's a big topic, very interesting. Depends on the parents and society.
Mhm.
If it's yes, the child rising in religion and it's formed part of his mindset and religion, but the parents and society also like open to hear, and it's absolutely normal. It's just I don't know what.
I think it's the question of kavanah. So when I'm performing some mitzvah, for example, so what should be my intention? I'm doing it because like it's written in the Torah, so I want to perform what's written in the Torah. This could be one intention, or the other intention, I could make something that I believe in it. I think that it's right thing to do, and that's why I'm doing it. So it's two options, right?
And it's also the different types of mitzvot, what you're expressing by what you're saying. So it's the chukim and
So this is also a big topic, and overall the attitude of Rambam that he was explaining every mitzvot. So, and the worldview of Rambam that every mitzvah have its own reason, and that's why it exists. Because if mitzvah doesn't have a reason, so
for him,
it could offend God. So if God gives you a commandment, it should make sense, right? If it doesn't make sense, so it means that God doesn't understand something, or so every mitzvah should make sense, right?
But maybe that I do not understand what it is.
If you don't understand, you need to learn.
So there are mitzvot which you don't understand and you just follow them because it's a mitzvah.
Yes, so
there's no explanation, so it's a chok.
yes, I understand. I know.
And I think Rambam he's saying that every mitzvah is a chok.
What?
A chok from chukim, a law, which you follow without understanding, because.
No, I'm saying the other way around. Every mitzvah have the explanation.
Yeah, but humans don't understand the explanation.
There are some mitzvah that it's harder to understand for some technical maybe reasons, because they connected to some culture that we lost now, or they was kind of against some culture that was back then, but now we don't have this culture that it was against it, so it's harder for now to understand it. So it's technically harder to understand, but initially it have the meaning, and we could try to search for it and to understand it again, maybe. So our intention is to understand. So the whole philosophy of Rambam is about understanding, and the way of us connecting to God is with our mind. So if we make some actions that we don't understand, so it doesn't have a lot of value. Maybe we have to do it for some technical reasons, but the main actions that have value is the actions that we understand.
Okay, so the other way around. So I thought that there are mishpatim and chukim and edot. No?
There are different words that describe laws, yes, and also there are Torah also means law. Torah, mishpat, chok, edut. Maybe there is more. Mitzvah is also like a law.
Oh, I think mitzvah is kind of voluntary.
Is
Kind of voluntary.
mitzvah, it means commandment. Letzavot is to give something in order. Tzedakah. Tzedakah is justice. It doesn't connect it to law. So mishpat. So today we learned tzedakah. Yesterday. So we said that tzedakah is synonym to mishpat. So mishpat is justice. So the law saying that you should make justice or live with justice, and also tzedakah.
If it's a law and I break the law, I get punishment.
No.
And if
There is a punishment that you should receive, but you can. It could be that you would not receive punishment by some technical reasons. Наказание.
So it depends on the law you're breaking, I think.
It's a big question about the punishment. We will learn it also later. But what you want to ask?
I think if mitzvah does not come with punishment.
Mitzvah should lead to reward, theoretically. We need to learn it. So we could expect that if we perform mitzvah, we should receive reward because it's a good thing. So this should lead to some success, to some good. And if I did something wrong, avera, if I did sin, so it should lead to something bad, like to some form of punishment. So it's like we call it религиозная интуиция, the intuitive religious thinking, the basic religious thinking, yes. So what are you saying?
Mitzvah does not need a police or a judge. You can follow it, that's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't,
Then
you do not reap the fruits.
I agree. So this is the philosophy of Ram, yes. Because if you go to Olam Haba or you don't go, yes. So if you don't go to Olam Haba, so your soul is just disappear and you end in your existing. So it's hard for us to understand the ending of existing like a punishment because it's something neutral. But for Rambam, it is the punishment, yes.
Yeah, and mitzvot we can also understand it with like idea with, как сказать, очки или баллы.
Ой, не, пожалуйста.
Это не очень, но это тоже из этой, что наказание.
Абсолютно нет.
Ну хорошо.
Абсолютно неправильно.
Okay.
So mitzvot brings us closer to right understanding of God, and that's why mitzvot brings us closer to God. And this is the reward of us being connected to God. So this is the idea.
That is the
Insight.
As a child, if children rising in Jewish atmosphere and Jewish like rules in Jewish family.
Yes.
This about understanding of mitzvah, why I will do it, why understand it.
So they are doing it because the society does it.
Wow.
So it could create the problem of identity, the question of identity.
Yeah, it can be.
So they feel identity with the society, right? So it's just the rules that you need to follow, like in Germany. So if you meet someone, you need to say hi, and you need to say it with specific intonation. And if they ask how you doing, you need to say good with a specific happy intonation, right? So it's like the rules that you need to follow. So if the person growing up in religious society, so the religion is like the natural rules that they need to follow. So it's questionable: is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? So
I think it can be okay.
okay.
My insight about what we said a little bit before, that it's important to be a good man, yeah. And my insight about if a Jewish family, why child want to do this things because he want to be a good man.
If it's the motivation, that is good.
Yeah, and it's like inside. It's need to be need. It's like about parents' role. This is to be.
So normally a child wants to act like his parents does, even without thinking. So it's natural behavior. Yes.
Yeah, but then it will be from this pirate. Then
pirate.
Period.
Period.
Period. Yes, and child, and then he will grow up,
and then
in his mind will be like be a good person and then be with God.
But how when this switch would happen? Because when he's young, he's doing like his father, and then he's within the society, so he's making like his friends. So he just acting like someone else. So how it would change to consciousness behavior? At which point? It's a very big question. Yes.
If they will ask.
Partly, yes, but partly it depends on the society also.
You're right. Yes, sure.
What society thinks as a good thing. So usually the society works like that if you act like everyone else, it's a good thing. So
I think it's about role models.
Yeah, role model, exactly.
Yeah. With whom do I identify?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I think identity has a lot to do with identification. So child, as you explained, identifies
with his parents.
The daughter with her mother.
Можно еще воды, пожалуйста? Спасибо.
So children with their parents, and also I think as a two. So when I think about the Chag of Pesach, so we all identify with the people of Israel standing, leaving Egypt.
Yes, so that's interesting. So we identify ourselves with our story, with our past.
Yeah, we are telling the Haggadah in order to identify with this period.
Yes, sure.
With the people, and when on Shavuot we identify with the people standing on the Mount Sinai.
Sure.
So I think identity has a lot to do with identification.
Yes, it's the same word basically.
No, it's not the same.
No?
Identity comes from identification.
You mean the process of identification? And identity is like the. Как это по-русски? Идентификация.
Ну да, то есть идентичность это то, что уже есть.
Да, но идентификация это процесс. So identification is the process of me realizing who I am, right? So after realizing who I am,
I want to be. It's a conscious.
Who I want to be is my goal, my dream.
Yeah.
So it's also partly creates my identity. But if I want to be like a cosmonaut, it doesn't make me a cosmonaut. It's just a dream. It doesn't give me the identity of cosmonaut. Self-identity.
Yeah, but идентичность это уже какая-то еврейская идентичность, например. It's Jewish identity.
Yeah, of course. How I identify myself.
Yeah.
So it depends. In the end, it depends on the stories I can identify. It can also be books for someone.
Fairy tales.
The heroes.
Some person here in in the neighborhood. He
Yeah, so-
identifies with books, with authors of books,
Mhm.
maybe, or with
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I think
so I think, and so the Torah, it's a book, and if I read the Torah and if I identify with the stories in the Torah, so it's creating an identity. I
So
think.
it's a role model that I can follow.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yes.
but
maybe.
question how you will understand what you will read. Yes, it's like I'll continue your brilliant thoughts. Like it's how who will be your teacher with reading these books of and
So your
what
father,
you
your
need-
family.
Yes, and rabbiners and rabbits and it will влиять, influence, affect in your understanding.
In your
also.
behavior also.
Yeah. It's not just in fact, it's also about people and society. Yeah. Someone will reach Torah with comments. With
That's why we have so many comments.
Yes.
Identity is not necessarily that all sharing the identity end up being the same.
No,
Oh.
that's true. I think if you can't,
But
yes,
the important
that's
part
true.
of this identity is
Very good.
А?
having many opinions, discussing.
Ну да.
I think every single person
Ну видишь, тут дискуссия такая горячая.
is understanding the message in a different way, a slightly different way, maybe.
Slightly. So there are some basic ideas that everyone shares. So this is our topic, right? So everyone believes there is a God, there is one God, etc. So we need to learn all of them. 10 Commandments. No.
Yeah, I think it's very basic.
That is a very, very good point, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
And that is because autocrats hate Jewish people.
Who?
Autocrats.
Автократы.
Like Putin or one.
Тоталитарист.
They do not like a plurality of opinions. They do not like.
Interesting, Саш.
Я тоже подумала об этом.
Ты знаешь, я не думал.
Like a communism, yeah.
Так, а что коммунизм?
Коммунизм это тоже при сравнивании людей.
Ну, у всех равные права, правильно? Коммунизм.
И все должны быть похожи друг на друга.
Ну, правильно, у всех есть один закон.
Ну, так а что тут?
А что закон?
Ну, это коммунизм, тоталитаризм бывают вместе.
Ну, при чем здесь роза? Тоталитаризм и коммунизм – две разные вещи.
I think that totalitarianism and communism like often together.
Communism, it means you live like a commune. So you live like a small society, you live in kibbutz in Israel, you harvest grain. This is communism, right? No?
So I think communism is...
When everyone share...
it's a good concept, and I think
Concept.
Israel...
It's a good concept, yes.
Yeah, it only succeeded in Israel. Nowhere else than in Israel with the kibbutzim.
Your example, like about Israel.
The idea that everyone share the property, that's the idea of communism.
I think communism is
So if something grows in the field, so everyone have equal rights to eat. So if there is one potato, so like every people, 50 people have their part in this potato. This is the idea.
So then we have to discuss what is equality.
Equality,
Because they are different.
Равенство.
Does everyone get what he needs, what he deserves? Or every person
Needs and deserves is different.
independent of what he needs and deserves.
не может
So,
К сожалению, коммунизм мы не сможем обсудить сегодня уже.
I say that unfortunately, I think the communism can be in because it's like every time communism, but in China, in Korea.
Это
or,
слишком далеко от нас.
Yeah, and I was that unfortunately today communism we can discuss because it's like a big topic, very interesting.
Okay, so the last thing that we was discussing is about identity. Ein lo guf, that God have no body. So Rambam believes in it. He thinks like this, and that's why he understands the Torah in specific way. So this is the third, and the fourth is it's about we will end at the fourth today. The fourth. May the fourth be with you. Hashem Kadmon. It means Kadmon. It's about Kodem. HaKadmut. Difficult concept. והוא שנאמין כי זה האחד האמור הוא קדמון בהחלט מונה אלוהי קדם. So there is a world and there is a God. So if we're talking about pagan culture, idolatry, so there is this world and there are a lot of gods and they struggle. So this God could kill another God. So the world is first and the gods are the second. So in monotheism, it's the other way around. So there is a God, he is eternal, and there is this world. So the world is the secondary after the God. So if we could simplify it, we could say that the God created this world. So there was the time when there was only God and there was no world. So, and at some point, the world began to exist because of the God. So the God is the reason for this world. And at some point, maybe this world would not exist for some reasons, but the God would still exist. So this means Hashem Kadmon. So God does not depend on the existing in this world. So he exists like outside this world, but the world dependent on his existing on the God. So without the God, world could not exist. So this means Kadmut, Hashem Kadmon. So God is before this world. So this is a philosophical concept. So Sikum Beinaim. So we learned 4 things about the God. Hu Kayam, there is God. So it's the opposite of atheism. And the God is, there is only one God, Hashem Echad. Third, Ein Lo Guf, Hashem is not material. He is spiritual, ethereal, metaphysical. He doesn't have a physical body. And the first, Ein Lo Nekudat Atchala V'Sof. We could not say that God begins here and ends there. So God is endless. And it's not like in pagan culture when they have like half God, half human. So it could be born and it could die. So our God is eternal and endless. So this is for
So Kadmon is the concept of the endless God.
endless, Kadmon.
Okay, Kadmon. Mhm.
Kadmon. So this world is not endless. It started at some point, but God existed for eternity backwards and will exist in the future for eternity. I think it's mainly this idea is mainly speaking about the past. So this world have the point of start, and God doesn't have the point of start because it's existed every time before. So, and when we're speaking about the future, the world could end maybe, but God is not physical object, so it couldn't end. Like the concept of 3, yes, it exists forever. So this is the 4 things that we learned today. So next time we will learn the next part, and 13 we could separate in groups. So I separated it in 3 groups. So we learned the first group, So next we would learn how God interacts with human, about the prophecy, and would be the next theme. Okay. So we would end today. Thank you for your participation and for attention.
Precious insights.
Oh, and I showed you the movie.
Which one?
It was here.
For when?
For the Mittwoch.
Mittwoch is the.
We have this meeting.
Yes.
So we might not have it. Okay, I didn't thought about it. That's a good point.
It's at 5 o'clock.
So it's until 6.
This is here.
Yes, but it starts at 17. But when it ends, this is the question. We need to think about it. Anyway, we will have this movie that we will watch next time. Maybe not this week.
It's something really.
It's about
Very good.
some politic, and the guy that helps him kind of makes PR marketing. So it's very interesting in today's situation, because a lot of pro-Palestinian things, to understand how it works. I think it's very interesting how the informational world works. This is the topic of this one.
I want to see